Hi everybody, welcome back to the Stony Creek and Poor Valley Railroad. My name is Bill. So today is going to be a bit of a long video. We are going to go through a real-time installation of a Blunami BLU 4408 into a Williams ALCO PA. So it's just a New York Central ALCO PA. I took the screws out earlier. Don't worry too much about that. Let's kind of give a grand tour of what we've got here. We've got our Williams reverse board here. We've got a Williams sound card here. This is the one that's just for the blat horn. We're not too interested in that. We are going to change out the headlight here for LED. We do have two flywheel motors, so that's really awesome. And we already have a speaker on here for our with the baffle already on it. So let's get into what we are going to be installing. Just open up the package here with a knife. All right, so with a Blunami, you do require DC input. So that is a very important thing for us. So what we got here is a DC rectifier along with a nice big 3300 microfarad capacitor on that. So that's a beautiful one for this application. Now, given the real estate that we've got here, make sure that this is in frame. Alrighty, yeah, there we go. That so that we can then move. There we go, that's better. Okay, so we are going to mount our rectifier board right here in the chassis. So we're going to have to do some wire redirection. We are going to mount our Blunami card right here. So without any further ado, let's get with it. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the existing wire ties so that I've got some liberty in moving things around. So that's gone. Kind of move things around here a little bit, give us a little more movement. All right, very good. Okay, so in this particular case, our mount for the board is underneath here. They mounted it through the one of the chips on the board, and you notice that now our sound card and our motion card are nice and free. Yeah, it was through the rectifier that it was mounted previously. So we are going to be using this same mounting place for the Blunami. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to trim back our wires. Now we are going to leave some wiring on the existing board so that if I choose to use it for something else, I certainly can. So we've got our collector pickup there, and we got a second collector that will snip right here. Okay, that's got our collectors free. Next, we're going to free up our speaker. I'm just untwisting that, and we'll free the speaker from the board. Like I said, giving a little bit. And then we have our light to disconnect. Now our light is feeding off of the motor, so that's fine. So we don't actually have to disconnect it, but I do have two motors, positive and negative, to disconnect as well as a ground. And this ground is soldered onto this front motor, as well as the ground for the light. So we're going to just simply resolve that. And then I also need to disconnect the light here at the front end. So the hot for the light, because we are going to go to directional lighting, so that gets disconnected. So we got our hot is just hot, and now we've got some, let's see, that's a ground for a motor, as well as, or no, these are input grounds. So we are going to disconnect our input grounds, these black ones. Right there and right there. Now we got what's remaining is the yellows and blues. The yellows and blues are the hot and the ground for the two DC motors, and we'll go ahead and disconnect those. All right, so now we have our sound and reverse boards removed. So we'll set those aside. Let's assess what we've got here. We'll bring you in a little bit different angle here so that you can see better. Yeah. And there we go. How's that? All right, you should now be able to see pretty much what I'm working with. Let me back you up just a smidge so you got the whole view. All righty, there we go. Okay, so we've got chassis ground on each motor. The chassis ground on the, so chassis ground on the motor. We got a light ground going from the front motor to the light. We have motor, hot and ground. We've got other motor, hot and ground. We have speaker, hot and ground. And we have collector hots. So the first thing that we want to do is I want to reach over and grab my shrink wrap, because we're going to be doing a little bit of wiring work. Verify I've got my, just had to verify I had my lighter available. So I'm just going to do some basic geography here. We've got our rectifier board here at the rear, and then we are going to put our Blunami card, set it aside here. Need my knife again. All right. All righty. So I'm going to give you a good look at the Blunami card. Now you notice that we've got two banks of 8 screw connectors. This set here is labeled HL, then BL, F3, F4, F5, F6, S minus, and S plus. Rotated around, they are labeled LR, M minus, F7, ground, V plus, F8, M plus, and RR. Okay, so that's the labeling. And our instructions are really, really straightforward as far as what each of those mean. So we've got the first one, the HL is headlight, BL is backup light, then FX3, 4, 5, and 6, speaker minus, speaker positive, right rail pickup, motor positive, F7, function common, ground, FX8, motor, and left rail pickup. Very, very straightforward. And I'm going to pause this because I need to get a couple of more supplies in order to do this right. All right, everything is now gathered. What I had to get was a couple of pieces of cardboard because, as you can see, we've got a bare metal frame here with no good mounting points. And our Blunami board really doesn't have, well, it's got two tiny holes that can be used, but I don't have any offsets. So I am going to be going old school, and I'm going to be hot gluing the Blunami card to cardboard, which is a really good insulator. And then I will be hot gluing that onto the chassis. I will be doing the same thing with the rectifier board. I'm just waiting now for my hot glue gun to warm up. But in the meantime, I could go ahead and start on some of the wiring work. What we need to do is extend this front collector pickup to come back here to the back because we've got the rectifier board at the rear. So we're going to do that real straightforward. Got some 20 gauge Superflex, and grab a length of that and strip some ends. And get ready for some soldering and shrinking. All right. Now I'm also going to take this rear lead, and since it's going to right here, I'm going to be shortening it. You know what? After some reconsideration, I'm going to be putting the rectifier board here, just next to the speaker. This gives me a little bit more flexibility for what I want to do, because that way we don't have any jeopardy of getting in the way of the truck movement, and we don't have any jeopardy of being in the way of the body screws. Okay, so we'll cut this one to length. And this one needs a little bit more length, so it's going to get trimmed up here. Piece of shrink. This will be sufficient. That's too long. I'm going to just use half of it. Okay, shrink tube attached to our new length, thusly. Don't panic, we're going to solder this. Okay, so they are together mechanically. Let's go ahead and solder that. All right, very good. Doesn't take much to do your soldering work. And then we're going to bend that up so that it'll stay inside our shrink wrap. Put our shrink sleeve on it and shrink away. There we go. Now at this other end, we're going to do the same thing, but we are going to be doing it, instead of at the end, we are going to be doing it here about 3 inches from the end. And I'll show you why in just a moment. Our lead from the rear collector is going to be connected here in the center. Give it a little twist here. Looks good to me. Grab our soldering iron. You will generally not find me using wire taps or wire nuts. I just don't feel comfortable with them, so I don't use them. Going to take our piece of shrink tube, bring it on down, and we'll shrink her on up. All right, so that's got our hot supply line. So that is going to go right here onto our rectifier board. We've got our inputs here. And remember, AC is not polarized, so we are just going to arbitrarily choose one of these. Back off the screw. Twist and insert our wire here. All right, that's nice. So now I will tighten that on up. Good mechanical connection now, so we can move on to our ground. Okay, grounds are coming from the motors, and we have to extend the front one just like we did with the hot. So we'll grab some wire for that. We're going to do exactly the same thing. Just stripping the wires at both ends. Now you see this one has a joint in it. We don't need anything past that joint, so it's going away. Twist these guys up. Get my piece of shrink ready. Notice that what we're doing so far on soldering is really nothing more than extending wires. That's the only reason we're doing any soldering on this project right now. Because I think all of our other work is just very straightforward. Okay. I'm going to set the Blunami card over on the other side of the desk so that it's out of the way. All right, so got that. All right. So this one is going to get soldered here. Just bring that solder in there. Clean the tip as you need. There we go, much better. Okay, again, same routine. We're bringing the shrink down here. Boom. Very straightforward. This one I'm twirling right now is going to go onto the negative contact of our rectifier board, and this other one is going to come up here to join to the other ground. Press these guys together, just like we've been doing. Nothing is surprising here. No mysteries. Okay, didn't want to twist, so I did the old school J-hook. That's just as good. All right, we'll solder that together. All right, got a nice good joint there. Move our shrink tube and give it a light. And with this then, we will now take our screwdriver and open up the other terminal on the input side of our rectifier board. And go ahead and wire this in. Alrighty. So that is how that rectifier goes in. Now from the rectifier, we are going to have two leads to come over to the Blunami board. That is going to be positive and negative. So make those guys about 6 inches or so, just so that we've got all the room in the world to work. Trim them out. Twirl them up. Guys, we're nearing the midpoint on this, so this is very exciting. Okay. You ever lose something on your workbench and it's sitting right there in front of you? Yeah, I think we all do that. All right, I'm just unscrewing the terminals on the rectifier board, putting in one for my positive and the other for my negative DC. And to the clamp and clamp it down. Now I am going to put a little tape dot onto this lead because this is my positive, and that is how I'm going to identify it for the moment. Just a little dot, no big deal. And then we'll go ahead and put our negative lead on here. All right, very good. I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab the hot glue gun and mount this rectifier board since I'm content with where it's going to go. And I'll just grab my cardboard, slap it down on the glob. Yeah, that's the sophisticated term, by the way. It's technical. And put another glob here. And I'm going to bring it under the blue lead. A little bit of back and forth. And that board is exactly where I want it to be. Okay. All right. That didn't work out so good. The clamp on the positive decided to let loose, so that's okay. We'll do it again. Anything worth doing is worth doing twice, right? Okay. Get in there nicely. Okay, get down there. There, that feels better. Okay, I'm content. All right, we are at the Blunami board now. And I'm going to change out to my flat bit on the screwdriver. Alrighty. So, looking at our, just studying for a moment. Okay. So our, what's identified as the right rail pickup on the Blunami board is going to be our positive. Yes, I'm checking it 3, 4, 5 times. And the reason that I'm doing that is that here on the right rail pickup, notice that our color is red and the left rail pickup is identified as black. So, right rail. That is a little bit too big of a bit. Let me change. All right, there we go. Right rail, i.e. positive. Let me twist that a little tighter, just so it feels better. I don't need the dot anymore because I've it's already accomplished its duty. And that is to mark positive before I got it mounted. So a lot of times I use these little clear double-sided dots for mounting circuit boards, but the Blunami's legs come down too far for that to be practical. So that's why we are using the cardboard. Okay, so we've got right rail done. We're going to do left rail. Now, we don't have a lot of things to hook up here. All right, we have got our power wired in. So that's a first major step. Now I'm deciding on how I want to do our motors, but while I'm deciding that, I'm going to go ahead and change out the incandescent bulb for an LED. There, she's now LED. Very painful, right guys? Okay, so what we want to do or what I want to do, is I am going to run these in parallel. So I am going to bring the yellows together, and I'm going to bring the greens or the blues together. And then I will use a small length of wire to bring them the final distance to the board. So let's get a little bit of shrink here. Cut it down to size. Okay. And get a couple of lengths of wire. They really just don't need to be that long. Okay. Strip the ends. You notice that, quite frankly, some of this is a little tedious because you're doing the same things over and over. But that is okay. That's the nature of this. All right. So I want a little more length. Sleeve it up, put them together, all three of them, give them a quick twist. Twisty, twisty. There we go. And then on to the soldering. Right, and then sleeve it, shrink it, now I do have an awareness that there's always a possibility that the yellow and the blue were done oppositely on the motors. I'm not worried about that right now. I will come back to that should that be an issue, and all I'll do there is just flip the wires on one motor. But I think that we've got it right now that both of the motors are wired the same way in parallel. So yes, this being a passenger engine, it is going to be more speed oriented than torque oriented. But with the Blunami, my friends, these guys can creep. So it's really cool. All right, you see I've got this, oh, I forgot to do a sleeve. I can put it on afterwards since I've got an end exposed. So we'll put some solder onto this joint. Alrighty, and we'll sleeve it up. And give it a little bit of heat. All right, so let's give a quick rundown of where we are and what we're going to do next. So we've got our collector going to the positive input of the rectifier board. We have our ground that is a chassis ground going to the negative side, or to the opposite side of the AC in. The DC out from the rectifier board is going to the right track input, and the negative is going to the left track. And then we've tied together our motors so that they will be running in parallel. And one more extension that we need to do. We do need to extend our light, so we'll do that real quickly. So my objective here is to show you that installing a Blunami card onto a DC locomotive, or excuse me, an AC locomotive that has DC motors, it's really, really straightforward. This is just a fun, low-stress project. Quick twist. All right. And that's now a good mechanical connection. Bring up a piece of shrink, bring on some heat. All right, the last two that we need to strip are our speakers. Twist those guys, because we are on to our final wiring and mounting. Alrighty. So next we are going to do our motors. And our motor positive goes right here next to our right rail. So I'm going to use my yellow as my positive. We'll be validating its directionality here in just a few moments. Motor negative is here next to our left rail. I always like to give these a little bit of a tug, make sure that nobody has come loose. All right, next I've got my speakers. My speaker negative is on the opposite end, here where it says S minus. Stick that in, give it a little bit of screw action. And S plus. All right. Our final connection is the headlight. And I'm going to validate something here because I may have made a mistake. But mistakes are easy to recover from. Okay, I am fine. So, on the end that has the speaker, at the opposite end of the terminal strip, we have HL, which is headlight. Log it on in there. All right. Guess what, guys? That is the wiring. So our next step is to glue in our cardboard support for the Blunami card. And I know that there are those that'll say, you shouldn't do that, but you know what? It's fine. All right, now I've got a nice, thick insulator here. Hey, I'll tell you this. This is miles better than the old sponge that was used underneath the circuit boards on Lionel MPCs. I don't know how many times we've had to open up a tender and it's full of powder. And then we'll add a bead of hot glue on top of this. And we'll situate the board. And I'm going to grab something before my pedant friends have a problem. We are going to clean up our wiring a little bit. Cable management is always important. So we'll bring these guys here. Put another one right here above the Blunami board. And then we'll finally bring one back here by the rear motor. This will keep everything clear of the edges and clear of our shell. All right, that is one clean installation. So we are at a wonderful point right now. We're going to trim up the wire ties. And our next step will be to go over to the test track. Okay, so we are at the test track. I am bringing up the Blunami app on my iPad, because I can't do it from my phone because I'm recording. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, that is a beautiful sound. Okay, we are connecting. We're going to go to standard operation. Okay, it's collecting Blunami data. love it. All right. Shall we see if we did these motors right? Oh, they're backwards. Okay. We are going to take this back over to the bench and change the polarity of our motors. This is not a big deal. Let's just go ahead and move it on over. I'm not even going to pause the video while I switch you guys. You're going for a ride. All right. There we go. So what we know is the motors are backwards. So we are going to take this wire out. And this wire out. And we are just going to switch those. We'll grab the tweezers. Straighter. Get it in there. Screw it back down. No, that did not get in there securely. Much better. And we'll bring this other wire back. Unscrew this so we got plenty of room to put it in. Tighten it on up. All right, let's get back over to the track. All righty. Yeah, I made you go for a ride. Sorry-ish. All right. Get our app back up here. Okay, I do see one problem, and that is that my light is not coming on. She does go forward and reverse, so that's really good. All right, so let's see if we can diagnose what's going on with the light. All right, let's take this back over to the bench. And we'll bring you guys back with me. And we will follow our lead here to, okay, it is in the headlight. Okay, I'm going to swap back to the incandescent and troubleshoot that way. Because it does appear that we have good connectivity all the way from the board to the light. Okay. Yes, this is what we do at the end here, is we do a little bit of back and forth between the bench and the test track. All right. All right, fire it up. I'm going to put the mic next to the unit. Let you guys hear the good sound effects. Ah, yes. All right, turn the light off, turn the light on. And I'm going to grab the LED headlight. Oh, that's right. Settings, light settings, headlight settings, and I have to tell it that I'm running an LED. Okay. Go back, turn light off, turn light on. Okay, that's all right. We don't know what's going on yet. And I'm going to check if we've just got a bad bulb. Lighting effect is that. Okay. Oh, let's try phase B. Nope. Okay, so it didn't like that. That is quite all right. We are just going to put the incandescent back in, and I will figure out the LED right at another point. You will notice now that the light is oscillating a little bit. That's one of the cool things about Blunami, is that I can play with that kind of stuff. So my headlight settings, I've got it set to an oscillating headlight. Let's try it just to be on and off. Boom. There we go. Use it back to normal, and we'll change it from a lamp, from an LED to an incandescent, and that's it. So a couple of really cool things with Blunami. I'm going to do something silly here, y'all. So we are going to tell this that it is the Diesel ALCO 4408, which is what's properly identified. Sound settings, main sounds, and we are going to select a different engine, and we are going to go, we're going to upgrade this motor. We're going to go from a 539 to an ALCO 251. So there we are. It was that easy to change out our prime mover. We have, on this particular one, we have the 539 turbo and non-turbo. We have the ALCO 244, the ALCO 251A I6, 251C V12, the supercharged V12, Century Series, and the 251 V16s. So those are my prime movers that I have. I have got a variety of Nathan and Leslie and Wabco horns. Hey, let's have some fun. Yeah, so really fun stuff. Now, one of the things that I also like is here we've got the grade crossing. Yes, it's absurd. That's okay. Being absurd is part of the fun of doing stuff with our trains. Back to our sound settings, back to our main sounds. I'm going to change back to a, I'm going to grab a 5 chime. Nope, by the engine I need a 2 chime. There we go. And I can also play with my bell. So now that we have this working, we are going to do a quick change from the test track to the layout and show this running with some load. Okay, so we are now out at the main track. Let's give her some juice. And we got her sister right next to her. That's my Williams Trainmaster, also with Blunami. Now, I am using the multi-train capability of Blunami with this. This is a good test. Okay, so I'm going to have to learn the multi-train stuff a little bit. I'll show that off at a different time. We're running currently about a 1/4 throttle. Now I'm going to also demonstrate to you here what creeping can be done with a Williams locomotive. How do you like that for creeping, guys? That is pretty slow. I'm pretty satisfied here. Let's go ahead and give her some juice. By the way, one of the things that's worthy of mention is that these will operate on track systems that are providing anywhere from 7 to 27 volts. So this is just fine for our standard setups. I've given it 18 volts here. And this is definitely what I would call satisfying. I'll be posting some videos later showing the multi-train capabilities of Blunami and some of the other features as we play. But I am sure that this video is getting long enough for right now. And so we will end here. Thanks for watching to the end. If you will, please like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff. Thanks so much for watching. Bye now.